Welcome to Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we're here to talk about what goes on in the village, the township, you know, those government entities that make laws and regulations that affect you out there.
That's right, Elgin. And whether you live in the village of Oxford, the village of Leonard, or Addison Township, or Oxford Township, these are the people that you went unelected. And the commissions and the committees that make decisions that directly affect you, whether you even chose to go to that meeting or not. And the result can be a taxing
Situation.
That's right.
It sure could be. And I want to mention, though, that there's humor, you know, in these meetings, and we try to extract the humor, don't we?
Humor is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah, right. Let me see, your taxes have gone up. Ah, really funny. I get that. Also, we have the condensed version of the meeting in Minutes by Minute. What normally would take, an hour, 2 hours, sometimes maybe even longer. We do in roughly a half hour, and we cover a couple of meetings usually, right?
But if you want to see every jot and tittle, you can go to our website, occtv.org, click on programs, and everything is in reverse date order. And you can even tunnel down depending on whether you want to look at Oxford Township or Leonard Village or whatever.
And instead of dot and tittle, you could go tittle and dot if you want.
Let's keep that order correct.
Okay, I got it. Mr. Systematic Correctness. That would be your nickname.
It would?
It would be.
Well, thank
If
you.
I were to do that.
If you
But
were.
I don't think I'm going to.
Well,
It's
I'll
more-
take it anyhow.
Okay, all right, you got it. Well, let's talk about a couple of meetings that occurred last week and the week before. One is the Oxford Village Council meeting was held on September 10th. The other one is the Village of Leonard, which is the Planning Commission. That was rather a short one,
Oh,
and we'll get into that when we get into it. Addison Township Planning Commission is the third one we'll try to reach before we're finished here, folks. You should have knowledge about all three of these meetings.
right. So let's take it from the top.
Let's do it. Okay, Oxford Village Council held on September 10th. Joe Frost is the president and chairman of this particular council. Dave Bailey serves as the vice chair. Maureen Helmuth is on this council, and Kate Logan, who's one of the newer members, and Allison Kemp serves on this council. Joe Medor was there, who's the village manager as well. He's usually attending these. And Terry Onika, of course, is the clerk, and she usually takes the minutes, which she was going to do this evening on the 10th.
When questions are asked, Mr. Medor has answers.
He does. And maybe more answers than you really want to know. It's hard to say. But anyway, Bob Davis was there, their shadow. Wherever they shall go, Bob Davis shall go. Isn't that the way it works?
Well, when a legal opinion is required.
Yeah. And it seems like just about every issue requires some type of an input, you know, from Bob Davis. So anyway, it is what it is, and
Lest
Bob
they
is a lot of
misstep.
help. Yep. Bob's a very knowledgeable guy and a good guy to have in your back pocket, even in your front pocket, right?
I think that pocket's paid for.
I think it's pretty well paid in advance. Okay, so they did the pledge. The agenda was approved, and the presentation was the next thing on M24. The logo. We had talked about the logo that was developed by a little gal in the 6th grade in middle school.
I thought they did a whole branding thing already.
They did, and except this time Joe Frost took the print that the young lady made, you know, the sketch, and took it to a professional company who drew it up in a professional manner. And he wanted to present a check because this was a competition which school children participated. And this young lady, I believe she was in the 5th grade when she actually scripted this out. And now she's in the 6th grade, and the cash prize is $200. And Joe had
When you're in the 6th grade, that's real money.
it's real money, even if you're in the 12th grade, even if you're a college student. It's
Even
still,
if you're me.
yeah, or me. Okay. Anyway, so it was presented to her, and that was kind of a nice little ceremony that they had. Her mom was there with her, and they took pictures, and you should be able to see that in the Leader newspaper coming up.
Okay,
All right.
good for her.
Public hearing was the next thing, And the public hearing involved ordinance 412. You're never going to guess what this is. Can you say chicken?
Oh, I was going to say marijuana.
Yeah, no, that's the other one.
Oh, okay.
If they catch these chickens smoking marijuana, chickens are going to be in trouble. It's against the ordinance for a chicken to smoke marijuana.
So what does the ordinance say?
Well, they wanted to know if they wanted to approve it through the first reading of the public, to the public. Bonnie Staley, she stood up and she said that she was against the ordinance because areas where chickens are kept are they'll smell, there's rats, rodents, vermin
Feathers.
running around. Yeah. And, and coyotes, she said there's coyotes in the area. And that's why people keep their little doggies in the house, you know, at nighttime because the coyotes roam the area. And she's on, trying to think the road she's on. The one that they're going to open up
And this is inside the village of Oxford.
for emergency. Yeah, this is in the village. It's not Denison,
So
it's
how many
Dayton.
chickens? How many
Dayton Street.
chickens are they banning chickens, or are they limiting the number?
I understand they can limit it to 4 chickens. Originally, they were looking for 100 chickens.
As long as there's no rooster,
No rooster. But part of the discussion that went on,
because then you'd have a lot more chickens.
right, the part of the discussion that went on later, when this is actually introduced as a full program, this was presented to the public at this point for their comments. And later on, they explored the possibility of what are you going to do with little fluffy feathers when they get old and can't lay eggs anymore. Helmo said, that's when you put them on the table and eat them.
That's a mighty fine soup you got there.
All right. So anyway, so that's the plan out there. They're thinking that might be the plan.
Although,
Although it could be disastrous to a small child watching a chicken lose its head and starting to run around the house.
I did that when I was a child. Anyhow,
Now, how did that do to your chicken eating taste?
it was quite a surprise, actually. I still like chicken.
You do?
Unlike you, you don't.
Yeah. But what'd you do? Chase the chicken down, hold him down? To decide you didn't want to run?
Well, it was exciting.
You know what?
I was only 3, for God's sake.
Oh, you don't, and you still remember it?
Little traumatic moments like that, yes.
Yeah, right. And that's actually what Kate Logan was concerned with. She said if they're gonna
Or you can
little
do
chicken,
what
little
Renee
hen.
Zellweger did in Cold Mountain.
Was she? Right. Yeah, that's true. You do that with lizards and snakes too, by the way.
Oh, wow. First you got to get them.
Look at the great information you just learned. Okay.
Lizards and snakes.
Snakes, yeah. Put it in that category. All right.
I heard they taste
I
like
prefer a
chicken.
club over the head. You know, you just whip them, beat them with a hammer or something. That'll slow them down.
All that being said,
Yes.
I don't think that these will be free-range chickens.
No, they're going to be in the coop. They're going to be jailed. For as
Okay.
long as they can figure, they'll be jailed.
Unless they fly the coop.
Yeah, if they can get out, if they pick the lock, they might be able to do that. But anyway, that's interesting. And what I noted is that people, it's kind of crazy because people want to go into residential area and have chickens, and yet there's other people that want to go into agricultural area and build residential sections. So it's
Is it a
nuts.
matter of who got there first?
I think it's going to be a fight, no matter what, either way. But let's talk more when we come back right after this, shall we, David?
Absolutely.
All right. Welcome back to Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
And we are talking about the Oxford Village Council meeting and their chicken ordinance. And we're just talking about little Chicken Little, what happens to her when she gets old and can't lay eggs. Is that right?
Well, it goes to chicken heaven.
Well, or called the chicken guillotine, one or the other.
Or Campbell's soup.
Or Campbell soup, one of those. But anyway, that's the future that Little Chicken Little has, or Little Fluffy Feathers has. So anyway.
They had a little retirement party.
Yeah, there were a few people were there last night that really didn't like the idea of chickens.
At all?
In the village, at all.
Are there people that have chickens right now in the village?
They do, and actually they were doing it illegally.
Ah.
And I'm sure that
Was it illegal because the existing ordinance banned them altogether?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
Yep, because it's agricultural. And under animals, it was named unapproachable chickens. You can't have chickens. But now they're trying to change that ordinance and put an addendum.
Is there
amendment to
any agricultural zoning in the village of Oxford?
No. That's
that.
Actually, that criteria is determined by the state of Michigan, actually, as far as categories.
Oh.
And then it's up to, the village, in this case, chartered village, to decide what they want to do. Can't
Okay.
have animals. But the township, of course, give agricultural area. and
The
other areas.
ordinance that banned chickens in the village of Oxford, is that a relatively recent ordinance? Or has
No.
it been there for like 50 years?
It's been around for a long time, and when I was on the village council, it came up again and it was shot down. The point being that if you want poultry or you want animals that are farm animals, that kind of thing, well, like donkeys or horses or cattle or whatever, you should be an agricultural area. So anyway, that's the way it was approached before. Now you have a few more liberal people that want to go the other direction with it, and they're going to override in some way the ordinance so that they can have an amendment to it allowing Little Chicken Little out there growing eggs.
Well, if a chicken gets its foot in the door, will pigs be far behind?
That's a good question. You might want to put a note on that, because what about these pot-bellied pigs? Right now, they're not allowed.
Well, they're a pet.
Yeah, well, they're also farm animal. Pig, oink, oink. Yeah.
Like
See, there we are already. Next is going to be pigs. Then we're going to have what? Camels, elephants. All kinds of things coming.
Fish
But
farm?
Huh? Fish farm? Yeah, fish. Well, fish don't. I mean, all they do is
yes,
swim.
they do.
They do. Okay. Consent agenda was approved, which consists of correspondence, letters, and so forth, reports of the minutes, previous minutes. Okay, then they discussed the August 16th minutes, which would be for a short period, and that was approved. And then the bills, get this, $454,969.27.
Well,
That's a big bill.
a cent here, a cent there, it adds up to real money.
Right, it does. Let me see, monthly budget report and amendments also approved, and call to the public. Okay, here's where Bonnie Staley stood up again, and she says, Dayton Street, they're gonna shut it off for emergency. I can just imagine,
Shut it off or open it up?
well, they're gonna open it up for emergency vehicles,
Okay,
but they're going to not shut it off
for regular traffic.
for regular traffic.
They're going to
Well,
shut it off for regular traffic.
That's what I wanted to say. So supposedly regular traffic isn't supposed to travel Dayton Street, but emergency vehicles can. Now,
How do they control that?
that's what Bonnie Staley said. How are they going to stop it?
Put a gate there?
She said, I got an idea. She said, I'm going to stop it. I'm going to be out there and I'm going to be there with a picket.
Get off my land.
And I'm going to say, for emergency vehicles only, and I'm going to shake my fist at them. Give them the high sign.
I mean, will this be like an open road, an open
No, I think-
access?
no.
Or will it have a gate or
A-
some kind of device on it?
Yeah, actually, that's a good question too. But Joe Frost, he said, we got to calm down here because they haven't really put the particulars together. And the fire chief and police chief are working on this, along with the village manager. And it's going to be a situation that they will resolve the issues, Bonnie, that you're talking about. So we'll have to wait. He said to have patience. He said it'll be presented soon.
The spring? of 2020 is approaching,
It is.
when all these things will come to pass.
Right. So run, folks, run. No. So anyway, they're going to systematically, through MDOT and through the village and township, hopefully find a systematic, good way for the traffic to move in and out of both the village and the township when that goes on. Right?
But no armed guard.
No armed guard. Well, it could be. Police is involved. Not sure about that. But anyway, so that was Bonnie's position.
Okay.
And I
Well,
thought Joe Frost handled that pretty well, actually. Yeah, because it's all he could do,
Yeah.
you know.
The people on Dayton Street have fought that access into Waterstone forever.
Right. Now, Russ Peterson, who's with Oxford Lakes, he stood up and he had a question. He said, on this bypass for M24, he said, it's going to go down
Class B.
Gillespie. He said, have you considered Baldwin Road? And Joe Frost, the chairman, he said, well, they won't do that because it's quite a distance from where people want to travel. He said, so they probably wouldn't use it anyway. And he said the best route was actually the one through Gillespie, you know, after review by MDOT and the local government here, along with the businesses and so forth. So he said it looks like that's the route that they're going to take.
Although if traffic, especially rush hour traffic, develops to be a real problem, then people will seek other routes.
That's exactly right. Drones. We have a drone here. We could, you know, no, they won't lift cars. Anyhow, small children maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe not. Hey,
You really want to work that drone, don't you?
a drone taxi. I mean, who knows? DDA, excuse me, needed an appointment for 2 people. So Joe Frost presented 2 applicants or 2 people he'd like to see on that board. And one was Dorothy Johnston. Her term had expired. And Elgin Nichols, whose term was being filled for another individual that was on that and left the DDA. So we were both approved immediately, so for a 4-year term. So
Oh.
that's what happened. So I should be around for another 4 years, folks. I know.
You mean everybody stepped back except for you?
Yeah. No, Joe called me on the phone and asked if I would be interested in doing that last week. So I said, sure, what the heck, let's do it again. Okay, council meeting, time considerations. That they felt that 6 o'clock was too early. So the approval was for 7 o'clock p.m. So you folks out there should know, if you're going to attend, it will be at 7 o'clock
So is that for the new fiscal year or immediately?
immediately. It'll start the next...
7 o'clock?
Yeah, it'll start in October at 7 p.m. Okay, look at him taking notes. Anyhow, Kate Logan said that child care program that they were looking at, she ran into some issues, so it's been postponed until she can put it together again, as far as the financing and so forth. Maureen had talked about that. Let me see, what else? Oh, the Amy DeSoltel, who's the Chamber of Commerce director, and she brought about the appointment or the application. She'd like to see funding for the Christmas parade this year, which is going to be held on the first Saturday in December. And improvement was $1,500 for the Christmas parade given to the Chamber of Commerce. And that takes care of that. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Minutes by Minute. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
Yes, that guy is Dave Kenny. He definitely is. So much so. Okay. Dave Kenny, remember that name. We have just finished talking about the Oxford Village Council and what went on there. Everything from chickens to you name it. We didn't talk about marijuana this time. Maybe next time.
Time's running out.
It is. Okay. Village of Leonard is the next thing. Planning Commission. And the people that's serve that board is Deb McDonald, who's the chairperson, Lori Zonick, and Jennifer Swat. 3 of them were there. And by the way, if you're interested in getting on the Planning Commission for Leonard, they could take your information, and maybe if there's an opening, they'll give you a call.
Are you implying there is an opening?
I'm implying there might be. Could be. Possibly be.
Up and coming?
Right. Stay in touch. You're right. So they did the pledge. Invocation was given, and the minutes were approved, which rather small minutes because they handled their site plan, their 5-year plan.
Mm-hmm.
Not site plan.
Master plan.
Master plan. They completed their master plan last month. So that was a big part of what their meetings are in Leonard. So that has reduced the volume considerably. And let me see, audience, want to speak? Anything? Oh, nope. Look at their shoes. So that was it. Planning Commission comments. They want to point out the chairperson, that Sherry Arsenault, who is a longtime resident of Leonard and also served on multiple boards, will be dearly missed, passed away. So anyway, tribute was given to Sherry. Very well done, by the way. And let me see, Planning Councilwoman Jennifer Swat said that and she's a representative of the Village Council, gave highlights for what occurred at the last council meeting. Of course, let me see, I'm trying to think. Mike McDonald is the chairperson for that, and also the president of the village. And she talked about what he brought up with the sidewalks. Remember, we talked about that last month, I think it was. Mike McDonald contacted, he needs volunteers, so folks get a hold of Mike McDonald in Leonard. And, volunteers are really
What do they need volunteers
helpful.
for?
Well, he's got a number of projects that need to be done. One of those things is with the sidewalks. Once they get chopped up, the concrete has to be moved and that kind of thing. So he can use whatever help, you strong, tough Leonard guys are out there. And there's a lot of them. So sewer municipality, remember we talked about possible sewage system being put in?
Oh, yeah.
That's on hold right now. Mike McDonald, again, is reviewing that in terms of expense and talking to a number of people. That's what it'll take to get you folks
In the
over there.
meantime, those cesspools just keep rolling along.
Yeah, they keep bubbling to the top. Anyhow, speaking of bubbling to the top, there's some things bubbling to the bottom, and that's the sinkhole. Remember we talked about that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that they're taking care of also and working on right now, getting that filled. All right, 5-year plan we had mentioned is all under control and all done. And mill update. The chairperson wanted to know where are we at on the mill. And the ringing tone came back and said, we're not doing anything.
Oh.
And that could be because they want to do a historical type foundation. In other words, the way it was done back when, 100 years ago or so. And so they're not just anybody can do that type of
Looking
foundation.
for beams with ads marks on them?
Could be, you never know. And again, if you folks feel so inclined, get a hold of Mike McDonald, and if you have a few extra dollars in your jeans you forgot about, they could probably use that for the mill as far as funding. So give them a call. Now, let's talk about the Addison Township Planning Commission meeting held on September 10th. People serving that board, of course, is Chairman Lawrence Smith. Vice Chair is Jean Luhart, I believe it's Luhart. You know how to pronounce that? Luhart.
Where is it?
I believe it's Luhart. Let's say it's Luhart.
Okay.
Either that or change his name to Smith. No, we already have a Smith.
I'll
Can't
keep
have
it
another
simple.
one.
I won't give another
Okay.
suggestion.
We could have another one, I guess. It depends if Larry wants to, get another Smith. Okay.
Lower would be my guess.
Lower. Okay, we gave a lot of television time to Eugene. There's a secretary's name, last name is Beans, B-E-N-S. And I don't know his first name because they didn't put it in the minutes.
Oh.
So Linda Garrick is on this board. Jean Malaya serves the board. And
Is that
let
the
me
young
see.
Gene or the older Gene?
I think he's the younger Gene.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty sure it is. If it's not, let's start the rumor.
Then it'll be the older Gene.
You can't miss. I mean, you got 1 out of 2, right? Maybe 2 out of 2? Okay. Chuck Sargent serves on this board, and Joe Schnur. You know Joe, real personable guy. He served on Parks and Rec for a long time.
Parks and Rec was your favorite thing.
Yeah, he was. And he and his crew were. I mean, no nonsense guys. They roll up their sleeves and get out there, cut trees down, chase bears off the trail, all kinds of things. You know,
Sons
pretty
of the
active guys.
Pioneers.
Yep. So they did the pledge, and of course, minutes for July 19th, 2019 were readily approved, and resolution approval. Okay, for zoning M1, which is light manufacturing. Remember we talked about that guy that he didn't have his site plan all put together properly, that there was some screening required, you know, with a fence, with
Okay.
trees and that kind of thing. That was at a meeting, or one of the minutes by minute episodes we did, I think last month, sometime around that
I
time.
believe you.
Okay. Maybe the previous month. Anyway, time flies when you're having fun. Did you ever notice that out there, folks? Yeah, it does. Okay. Anyhow, they reviewed the site plan changes with the Addison Township Planning Commission board at some point, and everything was approved at that point. So it went through without a hitch this time. So that guy was doing a Snoopy dance as he went out the door. So that worked out. Now, the next thing was authorization for a public hearing. Over there, you have to have authorization to have a public hearing. Somebody has to support it and make the motion to do that. And the other people have to vote to do it.
The
and
public
which they
hearing
did.
would be associated with a
Yeah.
planning commission or a council or
Right.
whatever.
And this whole thing involved the suburban estates setback. Apparently, the suburban estates subdivision is requested a 30-foot side setback,
As opposed to,
50 feet.
huh?
And there were a number of people who said, wait a minute, it's been 50 feet forever since it was actually built. Why do they want to make it 30 feet? Well, they said because there's some question about that in terms of documentation or whatever. And so what they need to do is have another public hearing. And the reason why it wasn't approved back then, which it could have been through the Planning Commission, was that they had a tie vote. Now, I've not seen that for a long, long time.
They usually try to avoid that.
Yeah, right. Well, that's because there's 7 members, or was it 5 members? 5 members on this board. There's 5 members on the board.
And one was missing.
Nope, he was there. And
He split his vote?
well, no, he didn't. He abstained.
Oh,
He thought that he was in conflict of interest,
okay.
so he abstained. Later on, it was ruled after a checkout that he was not, and so he didn't have to abstain. But it was too late because 2 people voted for 50 feet and 2 persons voted for 30 feet. So which is it? 50 feet, 30 feet. So they got to do this all over again.
Yeah.
So
Or
that's it.
2 people could have abstained, they still have an odd number.
They could have, but what it is what it is. Okay, so that's pretty much what went on there. And what do you got coming up?
Not much? Oh,
Not much.
on 9/26 at 7 o'clock, the Oxford Township Planning Commission will be meeting.
All right,
That's it,
that'll be a pretty good one. We just had,
working towards the end of the month.
yeah, we just had the township board meeting last night.
Ah.
And that thing ran until 9 o'clock, from 6:30 until 9. So it was a long-running meeting.
Which could be summarized next week.
It probably will be. And until then, I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Dave Kenny.
Catch you next time right here on Minutes by Minute.
See you then.